Okay, wow, there is some huge news, and I have to talk about it with somebody. So, lucky for you guys, you get to hear about it. Now, you probably already know what it is, obviously, definitely clicking on this video, but if you don't know, Warner Brothers just got bought out by Netflix. I'm going to be going over the article announcing this by Netflix, and then we're going to talk about it. So it says today, Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery announced they have entered a definitive agreement under which Netflix will acquire Warner Bros., including its film and television studios, HBO Max and HBO. The cash and stock transaction is valued at 27.75 per WBD share, with a total enterprise value of approximately 82.7 billion, with a B, billion. The transaction is expected to close after the previously announced separation of WBD's Global Networks division, Discovery Global, and a new publicly traded company, which is now expected to be completed in Q3 2026. Now, that number, really quick, I just want to say is insane, but they go on to say this acquisition brings together two pioneering entertainment businesses, combining Netflix's innovation, global reach, and best-in-class streaming service with Warner Bros.' century-long legacy of world-class storytelling. Beloved franchises, shows, and movies such as The Big Bang Theory, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, The Wizard of Oz, and the DC Universe will join Netflix's extensive portfolio, including Wednesday, Money Heist, Bridgerton, Adolescence, and Extraction, creating an extraordinary entertainment offering for audiences worldwide. They say, quote, "Our mission has always been to entertain the world," said Ted Sarandos, co-CEO of Netflix. By combining Warner Bros.' incredible library of shows and movies, from timeless classics like Casablanca and Citizen Kane, to modern favorites like Harry Potter and Friends, with our culture-defining titles like Stranger Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Game, we'll be able to do that even better. Together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling. This acquisition will improve our offering and accelerate our business for decades to come. Continued Greg Peters, co-CEO of Netflix, Warner Bros. Has helped define entertainment for more than a century and continues to do so, with phenomenal creative executives and production capabilities. With our global reach and proven business model, we can introduce a broader audience to the worlds they create, giving our members more options, attracting more fans to our best-in-class streaming service, strengthening the entire entertainment industry, and creating more value for shareholders. Today's announcement combines two of the great storytelling companies in the world to bring to even more people the entertainment that they love to watch most, said David Zaslav, president and CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery. For more than a century, Warner Bros. Has thrilled audiences, captured the world's attention, and shaped our culture. But coming together with Netflix, we will ensure people everywhere will continue to enjoy the world's most resonant stories for generations to come. Now, they go on to talk about how a combination will offer more choice, more opportunities, and more value. There's complementary strengths and assets, more choice and greater value for consumers, a stronger entertainment industry, more opportunities for the creative community, more value for shareholders, of course, can't forget that one. Now, under the terms of the agreement, each WB shareholder will receive, cash and yada, yada, yada. But when is this supposed to go through? So it says here in June 2025, WBD announced plans to separate its streaming and studios and global networks divisions into two separate publicly traded companies. This separation is now expected to be completed in Q3 2026. Prior to the closing of this transaction, the newly separated publicly traded company holding Global Networks division, Discovery Global, will include Premier Entertainment, sports and news, television broadcasts around the world, including CNN, TNT, Sports in the U.S., and Discovery, free-to-air channels across Europe, and digital products such as Discovery Plus and Bleacher Report. The stock component is subject to a collar under which WBD shareholders will receive Netflix stock, and, they get some money too. But the transaction was unanimously approved by the board of directors of both Netflix and WBD. In addition to the completion of the separation of Discovery Global, Completion of the transaction is subject to require regulatory approvals, approval of the WBD shareholders, and other customary closing conditions. This is expected to take 12 to 18 months. So Moelis and Company LLC is acting as Netflix's financial advisor, and there's a lot of other people involved, but that's basically the gist of it. And this is insane for so many reasons, but I'm going to be talking about the main reasons that would affect this channel, which is things like, obviously the pop culture elements and the superheroes and stuff, because my first thought was, when I heard WB was even up for sale, I was just surprised because of the company itself. You hear the name WB, and that's just like Warner Bros. That's a strong company. You think of that company, and for me at least, I think of like all of the biggest movies and like TV properties I've ever like enjoyed. And they list a lot of them in that article. But also you think of like DC. I mean, which is surprising and a little interesting because they didn't mention DC in that article. So this begs the question, like, how is this going to work? Will HBO stay a separate app? Because the sheer amount of stuff that they have obviously necessitates its own app. If you add that to Netflix, I mean, you can, obviously, but should you? I mean, I don't know. And the other main thing that has me drawn back from this is just the sheer fact that this kind of just feels like a monopoly. I mean, if you think about it, Netflix is easily one of the biggest producers of movies and television shows in the modern age. They just pump out content. Now, we can argue day and night about whether or not that's good content, but either way, they have a strong foothold in the entertainment industry. And as I just mentioned, I mean, Warner Bros. Has been around for 100 years. So, they obviously have their imprint in the industry. So these two companies coming together, it could sound exciting because, sure, it opens up opportunities for more people to see the content. And it might even open up opportunities like for creators. Maybe it'll make things more accessible. I don't know. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not really happy about this or excited. I'm just more standoffish just because, like I said, it feels like a monopoly. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quick was the thing I mentioned. They didn't even mention DC. Now, before this went through, I didn't make a video about this. But before this went through, there was a lot of talk about Zack Snyder possibly coming back and taking over the DCEU because he was meeting with. So I guess I should explain. If you guys don't know, WB was at risk of getting bought out by Saudi Arabia, actually, and Zack Snyder was meeting with some people from there, and they posted some very cryptic stuff on social media. So it had a lot of people kind of wondering, oh shit, are we going there? Are we doing this? Are we resetting? And now that it's bought out by Netflix, I have to beg the same question. Like, are we resetting? I mean, sure, David Zaslav was in that article and he had something to say, but he didn't have anything to say about DC. And I feel that it's just very odd when you're mentioning all of your biggest brands to not mention the, gigantic superhero universe that you're trying to build with the most notable heroes in all of superheroes, like ever. I mean, Batman and Superman alone, easily top two most recognizable superheroes on the planet. You could argue maybe Spider-Man should be number 2 or 1, but either way, point is, I do think it's odd, and maybe it's not intentional. Maybe I'm just being, a schizo freak, but I do think it is intentional that they don't mention that. It just seems a bit odd. I personally, now do I want Zack Snyder to come back and take over again for James Gunn? Not really, honestly. Here's the thing. I liked Zack Snyder's takes on the movies. He had his shot, though. James Gunn, to be honest with you guys, not really vibing with his universe, but I also think he deserves a fair shot. Now, I don't know what that exactly looks like. I don't think it's 10 movies, but I don't think it's 2 either, So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. Although I will say I would be open to somebody else coming in and taking over. Maybe Netflix can bring on somebody that has a different vision than both Snyder and Gunn. Maybe somebody that can combine the two or have their own flair entirely to it. The first people that come to mind for me are the Duffer Brothers, obviously. I mean, they knocked it out of the park with Stranger Things, and granted, that's not done yet. But they built that from the ground up themselves. Imagine what they could do with a property like DC Comics, with characters from DC. I mean, for me, as a fan of Stranger Things and as a fan of the Duffer Brothers, I can't help but get excited about that possibility. So I'm kind of honestly optimistic. However, I am more skeptical and more honestly kind of pissed just because I hate monopolies. I don't think I just think it's so funny how we were taught in school how all this stuff is wrong, and then you grow up and you see all these companies getting away with doing all of the quote unquote like wrong stuff. It's just very ironic to me, I guess. And also very, very frustrating. But that is just my opinion. This is just a quick video I wanted to make. I'm pumping out more than I usually do this week just because I wanted to cover some stuff that I feel is important to me. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below, what you guys think about this. Do you want to see DC get a restart, or do you not? And also, do you even think it will happen? But I think that's about it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'll cover more about this if more comes out or if we get more developments. But this is just a quick video I just wanted to touch on and, kind of give my thoughts, because it is a huge deal for a lot of the properties that we all love. So until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.